Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. You already know, yes, it's your girl Brandy Nicole, and today I'm back with a brand new video. All right, guys, so today we are going to be talking about tips after you have fostered a child. This video is near and dear to my heart, but before we get into it, for those of you who are already subscribed to my channel, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I know it has been a while since I posted a video, so I appreciate you for rocking with me. And for those of you who are new here to the channel, thank you and welcome. Hello. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you like the video. Let me know some of your input. If you happen to be a foster child who's in the system, let me know as well. I would love to hear your story. I always find it interesting to talk with other people who've been in the system. A lot of the times we share a lot of the same experiences. So let's go ahead and get into it because I don't want this video to be too long. But again, this one is near and dear to my heart, and I'm just hoping that with this information, I could help some parents who have already fostered a child, kind of help them understand love through our lens, if you will. So, all right. So the first tip that I want to get into, and I have my notebook here, I kind of wrote some stuff down. So the first tip that I want to get into is after you fostered a child, take time to get to know them and their experience. And sorry, I'm tongue-tied. I don't know why. Get to know them and their experiences. Okay. That is extremely important. And let me just pause and say this, because there may be some people watching who are like, well, what qualifies you to tell us how to deal with a foster child? For those of you who don't know, I have been in foster care my entire life, from infant to 21 years old, entire life. So no, I am not a foster parent, but I have been a foster child, and I have lived in over 20 something homes. I've moved around countless times, too many times, more than I can count. I've lived with numerous families. So if I don't know anything else, being in the system my entire life, this I know, trust me. So okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So my first tip is when you take in that child, now we know the process. If you're a foster parent, maybe and you've already taken in the child, you know the process. Like, they give you a whole rundown about this child while they're in the system, any issues they may have, concerns with the child or whatever they may have. You're kind of aware of that already before you have taken the child. And I'm not talking about like an emergency placement where they've kind of just thrown the child on you. And even then, you still have some sort of knowledge, even if it's very minimal at the time. You still have some sort of insight of what this child has gone through. But this video, I'm more gearing towards not emergency placements per se. I'm more talking about you've decided that you want your home to be more of a permanent placement for foster children. Okay. And some people are like, what? I thought all foster kids like leave their homes or whatever. No, there are a such thing as permanent placements, but you just don't get adopted, but you can stay with that family until forever, So I'm more gearing it towards situations like that. Okay. So the first thing, get to know them and their past experiences, their traumas, and their triggers. This is so important. And the reason, sorry guys, I got these eyelashes on. The reason this is so important is because this is going to help you to establish relationship better with that child. It's going to help you to build rapport. It's going to help them to be able to trust you. And that's going to be extremely important. It is imperative that you get to know what they've gone through, get to know how they feel in their triggers and their experiences. So I'm going to give you a prime example. A lot of the times after a child is comfortable, and when I'm saying a child, I'm not just talking about like a little kid, whether it's a teenager, whatever. After they become like slightly comfortable with you, they may start opening up to you about their experiences. And 9 times out of 10, they're negative experiences. And the reason for that is, let's not forget, they're in foster care. CPS, Child Protective Services, have came to get them for whatever reason, but let's not forget that it's child protective services. So they either needed to be protected from something or someone or both. Okay. So keep that in mind. But what I wanted to point out is that when they start sharing these negative, horrific experiences with you, it's in our nature. When I say our, I'm not talking about the foster child, I'm talking about human, just people, right? Especially parents. It's in your nature to try to hurry and switch the subject and talk about something more positive. And a lot of the times, us as the foster children will hear things like, oh, well, you're here now. So let's not talk about the past. You're safe here now, right? And even though you mean well, again, we're talking about love through the child's lens, right? Even though you may mean well, for them, that can come across as you just don't care what I've been through. This is just another check to you. You don't care about my experience. You don't care about the trauma that I've gone through. And so what I would recommend that you do, even though I know some of these things are extremely hard to hear, what I would recommend that you do is listen. Let them get it out. Let them express it, and express how they truly feel about it. Okay, and I don't want to get too much into that because that's going to lead me to a next point that I'm going to talk about later in the video. So don't be so quick to just say, oh, okay, well, you know, it's going to be fine now because you're here. So let's not dwell on the past, right? Because that's easy for you to say when you haven't gone through their experiences. You know, so let's not downplay what other people have experienced. All right. Now we're going to go to, oh, this is a big one. Allow them, after you've taken in this child, and this is going to be a permanent placement for this child, allow them to warm up to family life. Please allow them to warm up to family life. I know a lot of times people may think that, oh, well, this child hasn't had a family, and so I'm going to take them and it's just going to be all good, in terms of like the child's going to be so happy because they have this family. And initially they may feel that way, right? Initially we usually do kind of feel like, wow, like I'm finally getting something that I always wanted. But then once it starts to really kick in and the dust starts to settle, an array of emotions can come along with that, and not always happy, and most of the time they're not. You know, a lot of the times you'll see that when you first got the child, they seem to be like, yeah, you know, all happy. And then kind of later, you know, maybe a couple months in, sometimes even weeks, sometimes days, you know, they may seem very sad, because this is a life that they are not used to. This is a life that's unfamiliar, you know, and then they're thinking about all these other things. Am I going to have to move again? Is this for real this time? Again, this depending on how long this child has been in the system. If they're anything like myself, you've been in the system your whole life, you know how many families they've gone through who said this is it, right? So give them an opportunity to warm up to family life, right? Especially, well, I can't even say especially if they're older, because it doesn't matter if they're older or younger. Now, if they're infants, that's different. But if they're talking and going to school and stuff like that, please give them time to warm up to family life. Some people are like, Brandy, give me examples. What are you talking about? Prime example, holidays. Oh my gosh, holidays, right? Your family may be super interactive. Everyone's sitting out in the living room, watching movies, playing games, talking, and that child may want to be off by themselves. And you may be thinking, okay, well, they talk any other time. What's the problem now? It's not you. It's most likely that they miss their family. Even though they have been away from their family, even if they've never had their family, there is a yearning on the inside of you that desires your biological family, right? And some people may say like, oh, well, what about even if bad things happen? I came into the system when I was a baby, okay? And, you know, things weren't great with my natural parents, right? But it didn't matter what they did or didn't do. There's still a longing there for your family. So be mindful of that. Sometimes holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, birthdays, things like that, it can be kind of triggering, and maybe they don't know how to express it. And so sometimes what I'm saying, maybe sometimes we don't know how to express it. And the reason I'm saying this is I have talked to thousands. I have lived with thousands of people, right? And so sometimes we don't know how to express that, and we don't want to ruin the mood of everyone else being all excited and things like that. So sometimes we may just kind of stay off to the side to try to process what's going on and how not to be a problem, because most foster children, they always feel like they're a problem, they're a burden, because sometimes that's how it's come across in the group homes, in the shelters, in previous foster placements, you know. So give them time to warm up to family life. Don't just start planning all of these events for them, even though you're happy that they're there, without talking to them and seeing, is that something that they want to do? Because again, I know you mean well, but it depends on where that person is at, you know, how they're feeling about that kind of stuff. Don't try to overcompensate, right? And we'll get into that later as well. So that's that. Another one is limit the crazy jokes. Okay, so there's a lot of people, like during family time, a lot of families, like they joke, they laugh with each other, they say whatever, you know what I mean? They're just kind of, you're just being yourself. And I don't want you to feel like you can't be yourself, but I want you to be observant. I want you to be mindful. I want you to be present and aware, self-aware, and also aware of the child that you've now taken into your home and your family, right? So your family may be used to joking around and just saying whatever and all these things, right? But if that child takes medication and you say something like, oh, you're so crazy, you're always saying the craziest stuff, what the heck are you thinking? Oh my gosh, you're crazy, right? To you, that may seem innocent, may seem harmless, but to that child, that's not harmless, right? And so don't go into it with a mindset of, I'm just going to continue business as usual. I've just taken in a complete stranger and they're just going to have to adjust. That's not fair. That's not fair to them, especially if they were not at an age where they could say whether or not they wanted to live with you. You know, I know that, you know, when I was growing up, you know, prior to like 10 or 11, you didn't have a say. You went with wherever they put you, and that's where you went. So if you have a child that didn't have an opportunity to say whether or not they wanted to live with you, really be mindful of that. You should be mindful anyway, but especially if they didn't have a decision, you know, don't just have this mindset they just need to get with the program, right? They've been through a lot, and that's going to take some time getting used to. And so with the joking, don't say things like they're crazy, delusional, all that, if they've gone through trauma of taking medication. And the reason I want to bring this up is because most children enter the foster care system on no medication. None. I do not know one. I do not know one single person who has gone into the foster care system, and I've been in the system my whole life. I don't know one person, guys, I'm sorry, this eyelash is really bothering me. I don't know one person who's gone into the foster care system and has left the system without medication. Not one. Not one. It seems as if every single child that they get in the system, they tend to medicate. And to me, that's going to be a whole nother video, because I'm very passionate about that as well. Because you guys, listen, if that child is sad, they have a reason to be sad. They are not with their families. And even if you say, well, their families did something bad to them, that's why they're not with them. That's a reason to be sad. Your family disregarded you. Your family sexually abused you. Your family, you know, caged you up like an animal. All those things are reasons to be sad, right? Or reasons to be upset, reasons to be angry. But in the foster care system, a lot of the times emotions are exaggerated. If you express that you're angry, you're full of rage and you need medication. If you find happiness anywhere, you know, you might be a little ADHD, because how could you possibly be happy and all these traumatic things happen to you? If you're sad, now you need medication because you're depressed, right? It's like a catch-22. They cannot win, right? And so with that being said, a lot of foster children, if not all, we have mastered the art of suppression. We have mastered the art of saying, I'm okay. We have mastered it, okay? Why? Because of the fear. If I say I'm not okay, that we're gonna just increase the medication, right? If I cry for too long, now I'm severely depressed. If I talk too much, I have ADHD. You know, so be mindful of that. Limit the jokes, because those jokes can be taken the wrong way. Again, if they're taking medication, they don't need you saying, oh, you're so crazy. Get to know them first. Get to know them first before you say stuff like that, because I know you mean well, but that can be taken the wrong way. All right. Also, this is huge, 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 huge. Allow them to be a part of meetings about them. These meetings are about them, right? CFT meetings, for those of you who don't know what those are, child and family team meetings. Allow those kids to be a part of those meetings. And when I say that, I'm not saying that they always have to be physically present, but what I am saying is if they're not able to be present, before you go to that meeting, sit down and ask that child, hey, is there anything that you would like me to say to your guardian ad litem? Is there anything that you want your caseworker to know? Is there, you get what I'm saying? Because a lot of the times parents, they go through these meetings and the caseworker and the guardian ad litem, who you probably barely ever see, most kids don't even know who their guardian ad litem is, right? All these different hands in the pot, all these different people making decisions, saying all these things about this child, and there's no input from the child. And I know some people may say like, oh, well, it's a child, so they don't know what's best for them. And I'm not saying that a child knows everything that's best for them. What I am saying is kids that are in foster care, they may not, some of them may seem underdeveloped when it comes to academics and things like that for whatever reason. Maybe they weren't in school, I don't know, you know. But when it comes to what's happening in their life, you'd be surprised at how mature they are if you just ask how they feel. How do you feel about taking medication? How do you feel about going to counseling? How do you feel about what they said in the meeting? How do you feel about living here? How do you feel about not living here? You know what I mean? Like, ask questions. Don't just go to these meetings and everyone talks except the person whose life is at stake here, right? So that's another thing. Also, oh my goodness, this is huge, guys. I'm sorry this is a long video. I'm about to wrap it up. But also, oh my gosh, this is so big. When you take in a child, when you foster that child, I don't care if it's a 3-year-old, I don't care. Okay, 3, they might not care, but you know, because they're still little, but they might, right? But I don't care, let's say 7. I don't care if it's a 7-year-old. I don't care if it's a 10-year-old. I don't care if it's a 14-year-old. When you take in that child, number one, you need to ask them. When your house is going to be a permanent placement for them, ask them how they would like for you to refer them as. And I'm not talking about pronouns and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, do you want to be called Brandy? Do you want me to introduce you as, hi, this is Brandy? Or would you like me to introduce you as, hi, this is my daughter, Brandy? I'm going to tell you now, hi, this is my foster daughter, Brandy. I will say 98% of them don't want to hear that. They do not want to hear that I'm your foster child, right? Because again, oftentimes you're probably not the first placement that these kids have had, right? And so they already feel like they've been bounced around. They already know you're getting a check for them, and if they have more issues, you're getting more money. Listen, I've been in the system my whole life, and I'm telling you, by the time I was five, I knew there was a check coming in for me. I knew that. Why? Because people have conversations about it, and that's going to be my next point. So ask them how they would like you to refer them as, especially when you're introducing them. Another thing, if you're going to be keeping this child, you need to refer to this child as your child. As your child. Unless they tell you, no, call me by my name. Don't say I'm your daughter, or don't say I'm your son. Call me by my name. Unless they specifically tell you that, you should be introducing them as, hi, this is my son Jake. Hi, this is my daughter Emily. Hi, this is my daughter Stephanie. Cut out the foster, okay? Do this even if they don't call you mom and dad yet. That's important. The reason why is because most of the time, they're not going to call you mom and dad right away. And that's for multiple reasons. It could be, number one, that word doesn't mean anything to them, mom or dad. Those words don't mean anything to them because of the situation they're in. I can personally say I had that experience. Number two, they may feel guilt, right? Guilty for calling someone else mom or dad, especially if their parents are living, even if their parents didn't do anything for them, right? Even if their parents never took care of them, they may still feel guilty about that. I've experienced that as well, right? So just be mindful of that. But the reason I want you to call them your child, whether they call you mom or dad or not, if they tell you that's okay, is because that establishes trust. That's going to be the first sign of you saying, this is my child. Cutting off that foster is going to show them that I am making no difference between you and my biological child. Because a lot of the times we hear that all the time. I'm going to love you just like I love my own son. I'm going to love you just like I love my own daughter. And then when it comes time to introduction, it's, oh, hi, this is Sally. Oh, hi, this is Jake. Oh, hi, this is Blair. And this is my foster daughter, Brandy. Okay, that didn't sound, what happened to you're going to love me the same? Why do you have to say this is my foster daughter? Why can't you just say this is my daughter or this is my son, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. Also, do not tell them to call you mom and dad. Let that be up to them. Do not force that upon them. The best approach to that is saying hi. So not hi, obviously they live with you. I mean, you could say hi, but you know what I mean? Okay, so you live here now. We're so glad you're here. We love you, da 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 da. Go down the spiel. I don't want to force anything on you, right? I want you to know that I love you the same. Whether you call me Brandy, whether you call me Miss Brandy, whether you call me mom, that is up to you, right? Some foster parents have this habit of the moment you go stay with them, they're like, okay, call me mom. And it's like, I just met you today, like, or a week ago. Like, why would I call you mom? No. You know what I mean? But believe it or not, they do that. There's a lot of parents that do that. A lot of foster parents that do that. Another thing, refrain from talking about money. Like, when I say money, like the check that you've received or haven't yet received in front of them. Please refrain from doing that, okay? Like I said, when I was about 5 years old, I knew that there was a check for me. And I shouldn't have known that at 5 years old, right? And the reason for that was because certain conversations was being had. You know what I mean? And no child wants to know, even though they already know, especially if they're older, we already know. But no one wants to hear, oh, well, and they ain't even send the check for this person, and I ain't even got no money for them. I'm doing all this, and I don't even have the money. If you're fostering for the money, please stop. Please stop. Because this is someone's life. And I tell people this all the time. It is easy to break a child. It's going to take the help of God to repair a broken adult. Okay? If you're in it for the money, stop. Don't take another child in your home, right? because then when you have problems or whatever, you're gonna return that child like it's merchandise. Been there. Okay, that these are things that child is never gonna forget. They're never gonna forget that. So I don't want to keep you guys too long. I know this video is really long. I have some more tips and stuff for you guys. I hope there was something that you found useful. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me a comment. I will respond to them. And again, if you're a foster child, shout out to you. Again, I like to say, you know, people, whatever. I'm not even gonna say it. Not gonna say it. I'll tell it to y'all another day. But anyway, because I don't want to be partial. Like I said, it's near and dear to my heart. Foster care is near and dear to my heart. So all of my foster kids out there, I absolutely love you. My foster family, I love you guys. You guys were like one of my first families. So I love you. I appreciate you guys. And again, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.